I'm John Howard, and the topic of today's short video is I saved my struggling furnished rental with a landscaping project from money that I didn't know existed. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. So I'm going to start the video today with a quote from Steve Jobs. It's almost always harder to raise capital than you thought it would be, and it always takes longer. Steve Jobs. I do that quote because the reality was I was at a time where my furnished rental was struggling, but that's just because there's just always so much to do to it, and it costs a lot of money. And I knew I had to address some of the landscaping, specifically kind of a rather large yard adjacent to my pool area. Any host should know, and in case you don't know, landscaping is very, very expensive, especially when it comes to things like, uh, you know, putting DG down, which is decomposed granite, or putting turf down outside in a sizable amount of square footage. So at this point, I mean, I had had this place for many years, over 10 years, and I knew I had to do it, but I didn't know how because I didn't know where I was going to actually find the money. So here we go. My furnished rental was struggling. There were always a ton of upgrades to do. If it wasn't getting nicer bedding, towels, beds, furniture, anything and everything in the kitchen or electronics, there was always something that needed to be addressed outside. My furnished rental here, basically I call it an outdoor paradise, right? Because it is. I mean, it's in Southern California. It's in the Inland Empire near Riverside County, and a lot of people will go there because of the fact that it's an outdoor paradise. So dialing it in so that it photographed perfectly and worked well for the guest would be an enormous component of my rental, if not being totally necessary. As a host, though, it can be overwhelming from a financial and a mental processing perspective when it comes to all the little details that need to be executed and addressed for a furnished rental. So for this particular one, there's a yard, and I'm going to show you pictures in a second here. There's a yard adjacent to the pool, which is approximately 600 to 700 square feet. At the time, well, before I did the landscaping project, it was really only dirt and gravel for many years. But at this time, I wanted to turn it into turf so that it's a lot more comfortable. People can walk around more comfortably and have patio furniture everywhere. And as I said before, in case you didn't know, doing turf outside, especially a large area, can be very expensive. I wasn't going to pay cash, nor was I going to put this turf project or the landscaping projects on a credit card. So here's what ended up happening. During this time frame, which was a bunch of years ago, I mean just right around 2019, 2020, there was a financing program in California, and it was called HERO. Now HERO is actually a subcategory of PACE, and the spirit of it is to do energy efficient renovations for the home. And HERO stands for Home Energy Renovation Opportunity. I had recently getting proposals for solar, and during one of the appointments, the salesperson got my property, like literally right then and there, got my property approved for $60,000 without even getting my social security number, without getting any sort of credit or getting any income information or expense information from me. For me, this was astounding because I was, certainly familiar with loans and credit cards and how complicated it can be to get loans and mortgages and credit. It's always, especially if you're self-employed or have multiple businesses, it can be very tricky. At this time, HERO based their lending decision from really just the property value of the home. So here, again, right away, they just offered a credit line, and the credit line was for doing, energy efficient, projects around the home. So it turns out that putting the turf down outside and doing other landscaping was acceptable for this project. I'm sorry, it was acceptable for this HERO financing. And landscaping, just so you're aware, it's only one category that falls under what's acceptable for HERO. There's lots of other categories, and I actually did do other projects with that HERO money. One of the most appealing parts of HERO financing was that I didn't have to make payments to them. Shocking, right? They approved me without my social security, without my credit, without my income, just based on the property value. And oh, by the way, I didn't have to make payments. So the way that payments were made is that they were made through they're set up and they're made through the property taxes. And for me, I've got my property taxes and insurance escrowed through my mortgage payment. So when I make my mortgage payment, it basically pays insurance, the mortgage, interest, principal, insurance, taxes, and then also now pays everything for the hero. So I basically am able to get 5 things paid for when I pay my one mortgage payment. If you like any of this content, if you are in a place where you like this rentals content, I have some links in the description. What you can do is you can click on the link, or also an email address. You can contact me if you're somebody that is, if you're interested in maybe speaking with somebody that's a little bit further ahead of you. I have something called an SMTR launch kit, short medium term rentals launch kit. Very inexpensive, and I also have a way to kind of work with people. Again, just very basic, simple coaching in various forms. So you go ahead and see those links in there. Also, you can consider subscribing to the channel or giving the video a like. And then you also, if you know somebody, maybe not yourself, but if you know somebody that might like this content, you can send it to them. Thank you. So when this happened, my feeling was that, the concept of easy money doesn't show up very often in life. And when it does, I try to remind myself to hop on it. So during this time, I found myself a landscaping contractor. Of all places, I found him from Home Depot, just through really calling Home Depot. And he was familiar with, and they accepted Hero, and he basically went to town. So he pretty much got on the project, got it organized. He leveled the yard, placed 600 to 700 square feet of premium turf on the yard adjacent to the pool. They also redid the front yard into DG, which is decomposed granite, and they trimmed all of the palm trees and cleaned up all the landscaping on the property. So I was able to kind of tackle a lot with that Hero, which was huge to me because I didn't have to, pay a landscaper separately to come out and do all those things. And my yard is pretty huge. And there's lots of palm trees, so getting somebody to trim those palm trees is not a cheap thing at all. So this landscaping project was actually, again, just before the pandemic. So while everybody that's a host or was doing Airbnb and VRBO, and whether it be a short or a medium term rental during the pandemic, it brought its own element of demand. Still, the difference in demand, revenue and bookings was indisputable for me. Pre-landscaping project versus post-landscaping project. Just to give you kind of an example, what these numbers are, our pre-landscaping project, June 2019 revenue, 4,424.59. That's really low. I will admit that back then with VRBO, when I would get, let's say I got a booking in like April or March or April for the summer, they would actually send me the money right then and there, or according to when the guest paid for it. Post landscaping project, July 2019 revenue, 9,129. August 2019 revenue, 25,792. May 2020, 15,182. June 2020, 12,339. July 2020, 11,837. August 2020, 20,170. I could keep going on and on. The kind of high season, May to September, even in 21, was crazy and insane, and it usually is at this particular property anyway. So the business process was different pre-pandemic with VRBO, as I mentioned, because they, somebody would book and they would send the money right away, even if they booked way in advance. Even like somebody would book for the summer or whatever in February, and they would pay it. So after the pandemic, that kind of went away for whatever reason. That doesn't happen anymore. The partner company of Verbo or VRBO, I guess it's Expedia. Yeah, they changed their policies. When looking at the before and after photos, it can be pitiful to see how bad and ugly the dirt and gravel looked after getting the turf in. I'm going to show you the pictures here in actually just 1 minute, 1 second. Okay, so here are some before and after photos for you. So as you can see here, this is the, it's not terrible, still the beautiful view, but basically, and then this is kind of before I painted the furniture, but this is the, the gravel and the dirt and the view. And so that's before, and then let's take a look, and then we'll go after. So here I got 2 pictures for after. So as you can see, this is after, you know, beautiful turf right there. And then if I got a second picture, so that's probably the prettiest picture I have. And having this as one of the outdoor pictures for, VRBO and Airbnb has obviously had a big effect on the property listing and the revenue. So this is the second picture. So there, this is not quite as good of a picture, but still pretty good. There you can see how the turf goes right up against the actual the sidewalk there, which is next to the pool. I didn't even include a picture of the pool, so I'll go ahead and I'll do that right now. Okay, so there you go. So as you can see, with this wonderful hot tub, and that's like a slide right there, and this lovely pool when it gets really super hot out there. Having all that turf and being able to kind of hang out and do fires and do group settings is enormous, right? With the view in the pool. So there you go. So so that is the turf that has made all of the difference. So basically, it's possible that some other successful hosts might say, "Hey, why would I, put money into the outside and the yards?" But in this case, it's Southern California, and it's warm almost most of the months of the year throughout the calendar. So I simply have to make the most of the outdoor paradise. Okay, so there we go. So the moral of the story here, well, there's really two morals of the story, right? Number one is when it comes to financing your projects, it's imperative to have the mentality that there's always a way to make something work. The Hero program I was able to leverage. I ended up doing twice, so I was able to get Hero 2 different times, and I used it for critical projects, even besides the landscaping. I used it for a $30,000 solar system. That's actually more, $30,000 plus solar system. The $10,000 plus landscaping project, a $5,000 plus ducting and vent enhancements for literally inside the walls for the way that the air conditioning flows, and then a $9,000 plus new HVAC unit. All of these didn't cost me any money up front, nor do I have to make payments individually on them. It all goes through my property taxes, and even those are paid through the escrow with my company. So the second moral of the story is when it comes to an outdoor paradise, making the outdoor paradise, as I feel that you may agree, making it the best that it can be is very important. It's not the inside of the house, and the inside of the house is, more important, is certainly fair and correct, but it does play a big role, a huge role. So don't be cheap on the yard, especially if it's an outdoor paradise, and especially if you have a yard, and especially if you have a pool. The days of succeeding with only nice decor and nice photography are most likely probably behind us. So there you go. Hey, if you like that video, if you like this sort of content, investing in real estate, content like this, consider giving the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you maybe know somebody that is looking to get into short and medium term rentals, you can send them this video. Or if that's yourself, I've got some links in the description. I have something called the SMTR Launch Kit. Super simple, super cheap, kit that I have. You can get it from the links. I also have my email address in there if you wanted to do maybe some sort of very basic level private coaching. I do also do email coaching for people. And it's really if you're someone that is interested in doing this and you want to, speak with and kind of get some expert help from somebody that's a little bit further ahead of you. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate your time and have a great one.